Very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1 live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Bringing you the news, I'm Jadabdin.
And I'm Umitra Bekon. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
For garden tools, b2b.lk.
IMF chief assures unwavering support to Sri Lanka in meeting with Prime Minister. Lawyers protest outside Attorney General's department over missing case files. Another group of lawyers protest in support of the AG. President summons university academics for extended talks on new education reforms. SJB MP's module knowledge questioned. Admits only reading social media posts.
මොකද්ද නෑ මං දැක්කේ අර සමාජ මාධ්‍ය ගිය ටික තමයි සම්පූර්ණව මං කියුවේ නැහැ මොඩියුල් එකේ ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේම ඇති.
Mobile drug testing lab deployed today to screen bus workers. Sri Lanka versus England ODI series kicks off tomorrow in Colombo.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
For hardware, b2b.lk.
And on to those stories in detail. In your top story this evening, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva has reiterated the fund's unwavering commitment to supporting Sri Lanka's economic recovery. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva made these remarks when she met Prime Minister Harini Amarasuri on the sidelines of the 56th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum currently taking place in Davos.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuri is participating in the World Economic Forum this week, representing Sri Lanka in a series of high-level discussions focused on global economic challenges and opportunities. Alongside her official engagements, the Prime Minister met with the IMF Managing Director, during which Georgieva highlighted the remarkable resilience shown by Sri Lanka and its people in the aftermath of Cyclone Ditwa. She noted that despite the widespread destruction caused by the cyclone, Sri Lankans had demonstrated exceptional strength and determination in navigating both economic pressures and natural disaster impacts. Georgieva further stressed the IMF's strong commitment to continue supporting Sri Lanka's efforts to restore economic stability. Deputy Minister of Finance Dr. Anil Jayantha Fernando also attended the meeting alongside the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister met with Joseph Sikela, European Union Commissioner for International Partnerships, where the focus was on enhancing cooperation between Sri Lanka and the European Union. Discussions are centered on advancing collaboration and taking bilateral relations forward through stronger engagement between the two sides. Following this meeting, Prime Minister Amarasuri met Masato Kanda, Chair of the Asian Development Bank Board of Directors at the WEF Congress Centre. According to the Prime Minister's media unit, the discussion highlighted the long-standing relationship between Sri Lanka and the ADB, with particular attention on strengthening future cooperation and support.
Thank you.
Prime Minister Amarasuri also held talks with Hassan El Houri, chairman of Menzies Aviation, during which she discussed matters related to Sri Lanka's aviation operations.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you.
In another key engagement, the Prime Minister met with Tharman Shanmugaratnam, President of Singapore. During the discussion, she expressed Sri Lanka's appreciation for Singapore's support following Cyclone Ditwa, and the two leaders explored avenues to further deepen bilateral relations.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuri reaffirmed Sri Lanka's belief in tourism as a connector of nations, cultures and people, telling a global audience at the World Economic Forum 2026 in Davos.
I would just like to ask you, first of all, the title of this session is Tourism and Connecting People and Countries, Still a Way for Diplomacy. But I wonder, is that a tad naive, or is it still possible to connect people, prevent perhaps conflict through the shared experience of tourism?
Oh, I think it's entirely possible. We've experienced that in Sri Lanka for ourselves.
that the people-to-people connections that tourism enables is one of the main factors that has enriched our relationships and strengthened diplomacy throughout with the countries that we engage with. And I think this was best experienced post cyclone Ditwa, which hit us in November, just prior to the height of our tourist season. December is our peak month. But during that time, we made an appeal to the international community. We spoke to our diplomatic corps, and we said, please don't cancel on us. Please keep to your plans and come to Sri Lanka. And people did. People responded, and we were able to record the highest number of arrivals in our history in December, a few days, weeks after the cyclone. And I think that sent out such a strong message of solidarity, a strong sense of optimism that we were recovering, and the resilience of our people. So again, all of those factors are extremely important and part of our diplomatic engagement. So we're a prime example of how that works.
So what is the image beyond the pitch? Because that seems to me too reductionist. What is the narrative that you come here and you explain about your country, in particular with the sector?
I think Sri Lanka really offers a unique experience because, yes, we have culture, we have heritage, we have great food, we have history, we have wildlife, we have beaches, all packed into 650,000 square meters. So within a day, you can sort of experience all of these different aspects of Sri Lanka. But if you really ask me what it is that's really unique about Sri Lanka, I would say it's people. You ask anyone who's been to Sri Lanka, and it's the warmth of the people, the connections you make, the relationships you establish, and I think that's what's so important about tourism and tourism today in this very unstable, chaotic context, where tourism can be that bridge, can build those human relationships and those people-to-people connections that bring a little bit of sense of sanity amidst all of this chaos. And I think Sri Lanka, the connections you make in Sri Lanka will really be meaningful in that sense.
And just Prime Ministers, I know you have to go. Just a final question. Of course, it's Davos, so we have to talk about business too. For an investor, for foreign money, cash that is willing or would be happy to put it to work in your country, what can they expect in terms of authorities, in terms of a willingness to give permits, to work together, to give access to public tenders, to constructions, workforce? What can they expect?
Well, we are looking to build that infrastructure, the infrastructure that is welcoming towards investors, one that's transparent, accountable. But I must say that we're looking for investors who are interested in a long-term investment, in an investment that will ensure a resilient economy, a resilient tourism sector, one that's green, one that's climate friendly, and one that's also inclusive. Right? So that's the vision that we have for our tourism sector, one that will actually contribute to fixing some of the more structural problems in our country as well, right? And where our overall, and fits in with our overall economic and development vision for a more inclusive, climate-friendly country. And that's the kind of investment we look for even within in the tourism sector.
US President Donald Trump delivered a characteristically forceful address asserting that global stability and economic performance heavily depend on American leadership and military strength. He was speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos.
Without us, most of the countries don't even work. And then you have the protection factor. Without our military, which is the greatest in the world by far, without our military, you have threats that you wouldn't believe. You don't have threats because of us, and that's because of NATO. One other thing, and I have to say it so importantly, in the old days, and I used to say I'm the youngest in the room, now I'm among the older, I hate to say it. I don't feel old, but I'm among the older. But I remember not long ago, 20, 25 years ago, when good news came out about, let's say, the United States. The United States had a great quarter. The United States had a great month. All the stocks went up. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Now when they say the United States had a record quarter, it's unbelievable how well it's doing, all the stocks crash because they say, oh no, inflation, they're going to raise interest rates. And they do. Some of these stupid people like Powell, they raise interest rates. And what they do is they stop you from being successful. It used to be when we had a great quarter, a great month, great earnings, great anything, any good news, the stock market went up. That's the way it's going to be. We got to do that again because that's the way it should be. Now when we have a great month, they want to kill it. Like we did over 5%. People were surprised. We should do 20%. We could do 25%. When we announce good numbers, and the reason is they're so petrified of inflation. And growth doesn't mean inflation. We've had tremendous growth with very low inflation. In fact, growth can fight inflation, proper growth. So we want to get back to the days when we announce great numbers because we're going to be announcing phenomenal. You know,
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney warned that the world has moved from a nice story to a brutal reality where great power geopolitics operate without constraints and the long-touted rules-based order is fading. He was speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos.
What does it mean for middle powers to live the truth? Well, first, it means naming reality. Stop invoking rules-based international order as though it still functions as advertised. Call it what it is, a system of intensifying great power rivalry where the most powerful pursue their interests using economic integration as coercion. It means acting consistently, applying the same standards to allies and rivals. When middle powers criticize economic intimidation from one direction but stay silent when it comes from another, we are keeping the sign in the window. It means building what we claim to believe in. Rather than waiting for the old order to be restored, it means creating institutions and agreements that function as described. And it means reducing the leverage that enables coercion. That's building a strong domestic economy. It should be every government's immediate priority. And diversification internationally is not just economic prudence. It's a material foundation for honest foreign policy because countries earn the right to principled stands by reducing their vulnerability to retaliation. So Canada, we have a recognition of what's happening and a determination to act accordingly. We understand that this rupture calls for more than adaptation. It calls for honesty about the world as it is. We are taking the sign out of the window. We know the old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just. This is the task of the middle powers. The countries that have the most to lose from a world of fortresses and the most to gain from genuine cooperation.
For safety items, b2b.lk.
And welcome back to the news. A protest was held today outside the Attorney General's department with demonstrators alleging that case files connected to several serious crimes were being deliberately suppressed. Protesters demanded immediate action to prevent what they described as an erosion of justice for victims across the country.
A group representing the legal community, media personnel, civil society activists and several individuals identified as victims of past crimes joined the demonstration. They argued that a number of grave incidents, such as the alleged abduction of 11 youth for ransom involving Navy personnel, the murder of journalist Lasantha Wickrematunge, assaults on media professionals including Poddala Jayantha and the Easter Sunday terror attacks, have raised serious concerns regarding the conduct of the current Attorney General.
Coming to the Attorney General's department only to shout at is not something we should have to endure. This country elected a democratic government and people expected change. It has now been a year, yet files are still being hidden, files are still being discarded, and perpetrators are still being released and sent home. Meanwhile, the victims remain abandoned, left to cry alone. The public keeps telling us, urging us to stop this destruction. We are not the rulers of this country. We are ordinary citizens. It was the people who gave this government a 2/3 mandate. So the question is, what are they doing with that mandate? This is a preliminary warning to the government. There are lawful avenues available to take action regarding the Attorney General, and discussions on this have been ongoing. But how long are we expected to wait? How long must we watch victims' case files being destroyed while parents are denied the justice their children deserve? How many more files are left to be lost? And when they are gone, what will you offer in return? These so-called warranties and assurances that cases will be reviewed, what do they mean once the evidence is gone? An office of the special prosecutor was promised to the people, used as a carrot to gain public approval. Where is it now? During the previous administration, who sat on the committee setting it up? It was the Attorney General himself. So if he now claims to oppose it, what exactly was discussed when he sat there? We have serious concerns. These issues must be addressed.
The Attorney General's department is supposed to be an independent institution. Lawyers cannot secretly go into the department to hold covert meetings with Ranil Wickremesinghe and influence ongoing cases. It must remain independent. No political figure, including Ranil Wickremesinghe, should be able to interfere in cases. This institution must be free from such pressure. The Attorney General cannot act according to the wishes of former Navy commanders simply to protect them. The AG cannot act according to the wishes of the STF in cases where people were shot, killed, and justice has not been delivered. The Attorney General must function independently, and that independence must be exercised on behalf of the people. All these institutions exist under the public. Do not attempt to silence us further. Do not try to intimidate us. This government was elected to deliver justice, and therefore we also tell Justice Minister Harshana Nayakara, you have a responsibility. The government is the executive authority. The Attorney General is not an institution derived from Parliament's judicial power. The AG's authority flows through the executive. And if that is the case, the executive must take responsibility for how prosecutions and legal proceedings are carried out.
නඩු පැවරීම් කටයුතු වලට මම අම්මා කෙනෙක් වශයෙන් ඉතින් මට යුක්තිය ඉෂ්ට වෙලා නෑ මම යුක්තිය හොයාගෙන තමයි මේ එන්නේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ඇවිල්ලා කියනවා රාණවිරුද්ධ අඩේම කියලා කියන්න එපා අපි මේ නේවි 11 හැම කෙනෙක්ටම යුක්තිය ඉෂ්ට කරනවා කියලා ඒ වුණත් අදටත් ඒක කරන පාටක් නෑ ඉතින් මම ඉල්ලන්නේ මගේ ළමයට යුක්තිය ඉෂ්ට කළ දෙන්න.
During the meeting, university academics highlighted issues that have arisen due to attempts to implement education reforms through a structure based on the current legal framework of the National Institute of Education. They pointed out that this approach has created significant procedural and structural challenges. University lecturers also informed the president that they appreciate the decisions taken by the government to address these concerns and expressed their willingness to extend full cooperation.
The President gave a very clear statement. He said that a structured program will be prepared in consultation with university academics to ensure that the education reforms move forward properly and without these existing issues. He proposed a clear plan, and he has already decided that the program will be implemented swiftly in discussion with the Minister of Education. We as FUTA clearly stated that we appreciate the President's decision to suspend the irregular and problematic education reform process, especially the curriculum revision, which would have created a serious crisis in the country. The President is firm in his position that going forward, all relevant stakeholders, university academics, teachers and the wider intellectual community must be brought together to design a systematic and clear framework for reforms that are appropriate and necessary for the country. Therefore, we emphasize that university teachers and FUTA unanimously commit our full support to any properly structured reform program developed in this manner.
Well, what we just witnessed was President Anura Kumar Dissanayake, where he held an extensive discussion with the Federation of University Teachers Association regarding the proposed new education reforms. Now, at the same time, the Samagi Janabalawegya continues to express conflicting views regarding the proposed education reforms. Now, let's take a look at this.
The Samagi Janabalawegya continues to express conflicting views regarding the proposed education reforms. SJB parliamentarian Dr. Harshdi Silva told Parliament yesterday that officials responsible for including inappropriate sections in the module should be dismissed and the reforms should be implemented immediately.
This website is irrelevant to us. If someone has done something wrong, remove them. But we must move forward beyond that. These reforms must be carried out. If so, without postponing further, keep your backbone straight and accept that a mistake was made. Let us correct it and move forward together.
However, another SJB parliamentarian, Chitral Fernando, expressed a completely different opinion during a media briefing held today. He had not even read the module in question.
The first person accountable is the minister. She cannot escape this responsibility. She has sent the person who wrote her policy statement on compulsory leave, sent the father of the woman who campaigned for her on compulsory leave, and suspended another. This is not how this should be resolved. My position is clear. The Prime Minister must resign. The Education Minister must step down. They must take responsibility. Officials are always blamed. As the opposition leader said, this module contained inappropriate content. That is all we pointed out.
This was a response of Deputy Minister Nalin Hevage.
When one dog barks in a village, the others follow without knowing why. That is exactly what is happening with these education reforms. Yesterday in Parliament, Sajid Premadasa claimed he never said to stop the reforms because now there is a major public backlash. When estate workers' salaries were increased, we never saw the people who opposed it. Never in history have we seen the public turning against the opposition and pelting coconuts. Those who signed the no-confidence motion demanding the Prime Minister's resignation said that if the MP resigns, the government will collapse. This is similar. The worst betrayal possible is when they try to sabotage reforms while pretending they are not obstructing them, simply because public pressure is rising. The people of this country can clearly see what they are doing.
News First with the people.
India's High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, says New Delhi remains strongly committed to deepening its investments in Sri Lanka as the island moves through economic recovery and the aftermath of devastating Ditwa disaster. He made these remarks at the EFC National Best Employer Awards 2025 held in Colombo.
The Employers Federation of Ceylon launched the EFC National Best Employer Awards 2025, marking Sri Lanka's first national-level recognition for employer excellence. The awards were open to legally registered organizations with over 3 years of operations, spanning multiple industries nationwide.
We have great interest in continuing our own investments in Sri Lanka to help grow Sri Lanka, recover from the economic crisis and the more recent devastating impacts of Ditwa. I think Ditwa is also an opportunity in many ways because, as the President says, it's an opportunity to rebuild, it's an opportunity to invest. The reconstruction and the rebuilding package that India has extended and the Sri Lankan government has announced is likely to create and generate more economic activity. So in all this gloom and doom in the month of December, or rather it was November. We are now looking at the brighter side of it where things will get better. The economic growth in Sri Lanka will be even better than last year, and the kind of recovery that we wish Sri Lanka to have, we will be able to see a better performance out there.
Former Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India, Dr. Arvind Subramanian, delivered a stark warning to Sri Lanka. The country must not allow itself to repeatedly fall into cycles of instability. He delivered a public lecture on reviving growth while maintaining stability with lessons for Sri Lanka.
There are two pictures that I said that haunt me about Sri Lanka. Why is Sri Lanka always in IMF arrangements? Sri Lanka has to liberate itself from the IMF, which means that, not because I have anything, I worked at the IMF, so it's not that something personal against the IMF. It's that Sri Lanka should not have should not have the underlying instability to have to rely on the IMF. And this picture haunts me about Sri Lanka because, it is a pattern, it's a consistent pattern. And it's something that one cannot take for granted that we will, that we've escaped this. One of the pieces of advice so my recommendations are, your history suggests that stabilization is always provisional and intermittent. You cannot take it for granted. So you have to work very, very, very hard all the time to even maintain stability. That's point number one. Point number two is stabilization and growth are not two very, very different things. When I see this pattern of crises happening again and again, and the most serious one happening recently, what struck me was Sri Lankan society needs a mechanism. I don't know what it's going to be, maybe the inflation targeting framework is one of them, but some social, political, institutional mechanism for retaining the memory of that crisis and all the run-up that led to it. Unless Sri Lankan society has that etched in its memory, your proneness to future crises will be high. So it's that memory. So how does Sri Lanka make sure that that memory of the recent crisis, very unfortunate, very sad as it was, that's the creative part for all of you to think about. It can be embedded in central bank institutions, in the government, civil society, but Sri Lankan society should not forget what happened. That's the surest way to preserve, going forward, that you will not have financial instability and so on.
Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, deputy governors and others were present for this seminar. In the headline-making story we carried earlier, where a protest was held outside the AG's department alleging that case files connected to several serious crimes were being deliberately suppressed, another protest was held today supporting the Attorney General.
A group of lawyers arrived at the Attorney General's department this afternoon, extending their support to the Attorney General. Among those present were several lawyers known for their political involvement in the opposition, including Premanath C. Dolewatha, Gunaratna Vaninayaka and Maitri Gunaratna. They met with the Attorney General and handed over a letter expressing their support, identifying themselves as an organisation called Free Lawyers.
You guys know the people who know the law. I'm not about the law. Definitely. If I make a mistake, there is a court of appeal there. And there is Supreme Court there. Please go there and challenge me. And if the court tells me to do something, I'll be more than happy to do it.
As lawyers, we oppose any attempt to disrupt or challenge the functioning of the courts or the Attorney General's department. We are seeing attempts, especially on certain government-aligned social media pages, to exert unnecessary pressure on the Attorney General. We are completely against such interference. The independence of the judiciary and the Attorney General's department is something we, as lawyers, must protect. If these two institutions cannot function independently, it becomes a serious problem for the people of this country. That is why we came today to tell the Attorney General that we have full confidence in him. There may be issues concerning a few officials within the department, but that should not be seen as a reflection on the Attorney General himself.
The Northern Investment Summit 2026 officially commenced today in the heart of Jaffna, marking a decisive step towards repositioning the northern province as a central contributor to Sri Lanka's future economic trajectory.
Northern Investment Summit 2026 got underway in Jaffna. The event highlights sector-specific investment opportunities, district-wise supporting national economic goals, encouraging exports, foreign exchange earnings and sustainable regional development.
We are witnessing a strategic turning point for the northern province. For too long, this region, rich in natural resources, resilient human capital, and deep cultural heritage, has contributed only a modest fraction to our national GDP. Today, under the theme Empowering Growth, Insightful Innovations, we begin the work of changing that narrative. NHS 26 aims to restore that status by focusing on the 4 strategic pillars: agriculture, fisheries, tourism, education and IT and energy. We are creating a roadmap that connects the talent of our youth and the wisdom of our elders with global capital and innovation. Let us work together to ensure that the investments made today result in sustainable jobs, vibrant enterprises and a prosperous future for every citizen of the Northern Province.
Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development, Sunil Handunethi, emphasized that the current government firmly believes that the Northern Province is an integral part of the nation.
The present government firmly believes that the Northern Province is an integral part of our nation. Previously, the region was often viewed through a political lens, with the power taking precedence over economic development. This led to the neglect of its vast economic potential. Today, we are committed to reversing this approach through inclusive grassroots level economic development. Currently, the Northern Province contributes about 4% to the national economy. Although the Northern Renaissance Initiative will aim to increase this to 10%. We believe the people of the North possess the resilience and commitment to achieve this goal. And as a government, we will provide the necessary facility, knowledge and leadership. We invite global investors to partner with us in unlocking the province's abundant resources.
The event also featured a session where district secretariats presented opportunities of investments under their relevant districts to stakeholders who attended the event. The summit focuses on creating jobs, improving livelihoods, encouraging youth to build careers in the north, and supporting women-led businesses. It further aims to strengthen connections with the Sri Lankan diaspora and global partners to accelerate and support inclusive growth.
We go back to the World Economic Forum in Davos, where Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya spoke just a few moments ago. During her address, the Premier emphasized the importance of recognizing unpaid care work as a vital but overlooked component of the economy.
No, absolutely. President Tharman pointed to one disparity that we see, that's the vocational pathways and the academic pathways. But I think there's another area where little attention is paid, and that's the importance of unpaid care work and how much unpaid care work actually sustains our economies, and the fact that over 70% of women are located in unpaid care work, which often doesn't get accounted as work, doesn't get counted in our GDP, and yet it performs a really important role. So when we talk about job creation, particularly in countries like Sri Lanka, developing countries, where women are concentrated in unpaid care work and in the informal sector, it's not just a problem of creating jobs for young people. It's also about making sure that the job creation is equitable in every sense, and that we are valuing this kind of work that often goes unrecognized but yet has a crucial role to play in the economy. And economies would not be able to sustain themselves if this unpaid care work didn't happen. Yet we don't have the ways of recognizing this or organizing it or redistributing it in ways that makes it more possible for women to enter paid work. Yeah? And I think the other important factor that we need to really look at is the fact that we have pressures from two ends. One is the young people entering the job market, and we have aging populations at the other end, where our demographies are changing, particularly in countries like Sri Lanka, which experience the youth bulge in the 80s and are now having to deal with an aging population who also want to be productive and be part of the economy.
In more local news, a mobile laboratory for testing bus employees for drug use was deployed today. The operation is being carried out jointly by the police, the National Transport Commission and the National Transport Medical Institute.
At the bus terminal on Bastian Mawatha Colombo Fort, this mobile laboratory was used today to conduct on-the-spot drug tests on bus employees. Police said this afternoon that 10 bus drivers were confirmed to have used drugs following the tests. Deputy Inspector General of Police for Traffic Control and Road Safety, WPJ Senadira, stated that 2 drivers who had travelled from Valimada and Ampara to Colombo tested positive for ice. The remaining 8 drivers were found to have used cannabis.
These drivers are selected at random and tested on the spot. A urine sample is collected and examined using the testing kits and chemicals available in the mobile laboratory operated by the National Transport Medical Institute. The test is carried out immediately and results are produced on site.
What happens if a bus worker tests positive for drugs?
We will report the matter to court and take all necessary legal steps. We expect to suspend the licenses of these drivers and proceed with further action. All drivers are strongly advised not to operate vehicles under the influence of alcohol or drugs. If they do, we will enforce the law strictly. In the event of an accident, we will take severe legal action, not only under traffic laws, but also under criminal law.
Police said that these inspections will be expanded further in the coming days.
The final rites of former Minister Nandana Gunathilaka took place this evening. Nandana Gunathilaka passed while receiving treatment in the ICU at the Ragama Teaching Hospital recently. He was 63 years old at the time of his death.
The remains of late former minister were placed for public viewing at the YMBA Centre in Badua from this morning. At 4 p.m, the cortege was taken to the Veragam Cemetery in Badua for burial. A large gathering, including many politicians, were present to pay their last respects. Amidst many mourners, Nandana Gunathilaka bid adieu to this world this evening.
The second phase of the LOLC Divisavia You, Me, Our Country social welfare program continued for the 18th day, focusing on schools in the Nuwara, Kandy and Badulla districts.
The LOLC Divisavia You, Me, Our Nation social welfare initiative consists of 3 stages. Under the first phase, dry rations and essential supplies were distributed for 10 consecutive days to families whose homes were completely destroyed by Cyclone Ditwa. The second phase commenced with the objective of renovating 200 damaged schools. This phase will be carried out over the next several days across 6 districts in 3 provinces. Renovated school buildings at the Adira Tamil School in the Valapane Divisional Secretariat of Nuwara and the Pujapetiya Primary School in the Katagasthara Divisional Secretariat of Kandy were officially handed over to the students today. In the Badulla district, the newly restored facilities at the Haputale Muslim Vidyalaya within the Bantaravela Divisional Secretariat were handed over to students this morning. Additionally, renovated buildings at Bhadravati Mahavidyalaya in the Kandy district and Lianaghavela Mahavidyalaya in the Badulla district were handed over to students this afternoon. The LOLC Divisavia Social Welfare Initiative is carried out entirely for the benefit of the people.
CA Sri Lanka appointed its 28th president, marking a new chapter in leadership for the country's premier accounting body.
The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, or CA Sri Lanka, ushered in a new era of leadership with the formal induction of Dishan Subasinghe as its 28th president. The outgoing president, Heshana Kuruppu, performed the ceremonial handover of office to Subasinghe.
We are on a clear mission to support the government's adoption of accrual accounting. Further, we contribute significantly to national development through capacity building programs for public servants. The global footprint of the CA Sri Lanka qualification is a powerful testament to its standing. Ladies and gentlemen, over 30% of our membership is currently working overseas in diverse and influential capacities, and the number is increasing, from financial centers to corporate boardrooms. To actively support this international reach, we have forged agreements with professional accountancy organizations worldwide. We call it PAOs. This framework is bolstered by our 10 active foreign chapters across key international jurisdictions.
President's Counsel Justice Yasantha Kodagoda of the Supreme Court cautioned that Sri Lanka's corporate sector must never pursue profit at the expense of national interest.
Support to employers to achieve corporate business objectives should never be at the expense of wider national interests of our country. Further, assisting corporate employers to achieve their business objectives should not, and I repeat, should not, come at the expense of the employees, transacting third parties, interest of minority shareholders, and the rights of consumers. The proximity, ladies and gentlemen, accountants have to every aspect of business activity of a corporate employer places upon them a responsibility that transcends the immediate financial interest of the company. Therefore, true measure of professionalism and integrity of accountants, financial analysts, and financial advisors lie in balancing corporate success with fairness being meted out to all shareholders. In my opinion, accountants are not mere servants of profit, but custodians of balancing trust.
MTV channel of the Maharaja Media Network took center stage at the annual Asia Vision Coordinators meeting of the Asia Broadcasting Union held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, where it presented its distinguished disaster response model that supported Sri Lanka during Cyclone Ditwa.
Representing Sri Lanka, Jeffrey Jebadarshan, manager of Shakti TV News, detailed how MTV channel stepped beyond traditional broadcasting to serve as a national lifeline at a moment of crisis. His presentation outlined how the network temporarily suspended its regular programming schedule and reoriented its entire operation around the 5 R's: reporting, rescue, relief, recovery, and review. A comprehensive framework designed to deliver verified information, mobilize support, and reduce panic during the disaster.
This framework ensures that our response is systematic, timely, people-centered, with a clear focus on saving life and supporting recovery. The 5 R's: reporting, rescue, relief, recovery, review.
Jebadarshan emphasized that MTV's coverage did not stop at information dissemination. The network actively coordinated with a wide spectrum of stakeholders through its hallmark initiative, Gammatta Sahanayatra, bringing together government authorities, the private sector, civil society, and international partners to deliver swift, on-the-ground assistance to affected communities. He further highlighted that MTV's involvement extended well beyond the immediate emergency phase. Long-term recovery efforts continue through programs such as Gammatta Kya India, which work closely with communities to rebuild livelihoods, infrastructure, and resilience. The presentation underscored MTV channel's evolving role in national crises, not merely as a broadcaster, but as a committed partner in disaster management, capable of mobilizing public support, coordinating relief, and sustaining recovery efforts long after the headlines fade.
A round-table discussion featuring Semih Lutfut Turgut, the ambassador of the Republic of Turkey, was held in Colombo today.
The roundtable discussion held in Colombo featured a distinguished panel of experts, including Semih Lutfut Turgut, ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to Sri Lanka, Bernard Gunatilaka, chairman of the Pathfinder Foundation, and Nilantan Nirutan, executive director of the Center for Law and Security Studies, and several others.
Because one of the first things that the students of international relations study is also the theories of international relations.
The dialogue centered on an in-depth analysis of the current global geopolitical landscape.
The International Cricket Council confirmed the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026 will proceed as scheduled, with Bangladesh's matches to be played in India.
The decision was taken following an ICC board meeting via video conference, which was convened to discuss the way forward after the Bangladesh Cricket Board had asked that its matches be moved out of India to Sri Lanka. The decision was reached after considering all security assessments conducted, including independent reviews, all of which indicated there was no threat to Bangladesh players, media persons, officials and fans at any tournament venues in the country. It was noted that it was not feasible to make changes so close to the tournament and that altering the schedule under the circumstances in the absence of any credible security threat could set a precedent that would jeopardize the sanctity of future ICC events and undermine its neutrality as a global governing body.
Sri Lanka is set to reclaim its spotlight on the global endurance map with Active Colombo, an international triathlon platform led by Ironman Colombo. A high-level meeting between Governor of the Western Province, Mayors of Colombo and Ironman Colombo was held to finalize plans for the launch.
Colombo is gearing up for the third edition of the Ironman 70.3 Colombo International Triathlon. Active Colombo, an international triathlon platform organized by Ironman Colombo together with Serendip Motorsport, is set to take place in February 2026. The race window is slated for the 19th to the 22nd of February 2026, positioning Colombo back on the global endurance calendar after a long hiatus. A high-level meeting between Governor of the Western Province Hanif Yusuf, Mayors of Colombo Rai Kali Baltasar and Ironman Colombo organizer was held in Colombo to finalize plans for the launch.
So Ironman is coming back to Colombo after 2019, after a kind of a long break, but we're very happy to be able to host and facilitate this. And as a CMC and as the Western Province, the Governor's Office, we are collaborating with not just the Ironman team, but there's a whole group of people who are going to be involved in various activities, including the hotel industry and the tourism industry, who are looking to come together to collaborate to make sure that the folk who are coming from all over the world are going to be able to experience Colombo, its people and its culture. And we're very excited to be able to have that conversation today, to come together to figure out how we can better serve those who are coming in the month of February, and to see how we can in the long run, beyond 2026, also look at how Ironman can benefit the city and benefit those who are coming.
Both the governor and the mayor pledged support to facilitate the city's infrastructure and services to ensure the smooth hosting of the international sporting event. The initiative aims to position Colombo as a dynamic, athlete-friendly city and a prime destination for purposeful tourism. Ironman 70.3 Colombo, which is being organized for the third time, is expected to draw around 1,000 athletes from 45 countries. The Active Colombo platform will serve as a citywide activation campaign showcasing Colombo's culture, energy and hospitality to an international audience. The Ironman 70.3 Colombo Triathlon is scheduled to take place in February 2026 and is expected to generate a significant economic and tourism benefits for the city.
And that's a wrap of your news for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.